Welcome to the Everyday Woman podcast. My name is Nyahangalia. I'm your host, and this is our first guest, Remy Lekun. Remy Lekun, say hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi. So we have both dealt with mental health issues, and we're going to talk about it, and we'll go from there. So first things first, Shodetta, Remy Lekun. You hear me call her Shodetta. You hear me call her Remy Lekun.
Yes.
She goes by both.
I do.
And you hear me sometimes go by Nyahangalia, sometimes you hear Hannah. I go by both. So there you go. So, Remy Lekun, tell us about yourself. A little about you as a woman.
As a woman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On the Everyday Woman podcast.
That's right. So I'm Remy Lekun from Sierra Leone. Grew up in Sierra Leone, 13 years, came to the United States. So I came to the United States in middle school. Grew up middle school, the tough years. So I was
that's a whole mental health journey by itself, middle school.
That's a series.
We both have kids in middle school, so listen, we're going through it with them too.
Exactly. So then, grew up, like I said, in the middle school, the United States education system. Graduated, went to college, and then graduated as a nursing degree, worked as a nurse for a while, and then I went to school, and nurses.
Nurses rock! Yay! We're both nurses.
Yes, we are. So, became a nurse, worked as a nurse for a while. Hannah and I actually ended up working in the same hospital, but different floors, but that's a different episode. Yeah. So we worked together for a while, and then after working as a nurse for a while, went back to school and became an NP, family nurse practitioner, which is just advanced education for registered nurses. And then the family nurse practitioners are able to, diagnose, treat, and then do all the assessment parts that nurses do as well. So I did work. So, like a mix between a doctor and a nurse, kind of, but a different. Yeah. How would you explain it? Because you do prescribe, which nurses don't do. Yeah. So which is what I was saying. So family nurse practitioners, for those who don't know, are registered nurses that have advanced education. Advanced education in the sense that you go to school for the advanced education piece for, you go to school and do like extra pathophysiology, extra assessment skills, because those pathophysiology, those nursing basis type things are what's going to help you make the diagnosis for you to be able to treat. Okay. And nurse practitioners can't treat, CAN can't treat chronic diseases, acute diseases, mental health diagnosis.
So you're going to come back as a nurse. So I'm going to have... I already told her she's gonna be back for.
I know y'all be seeing.
I already have like a few episodes lined up for her because she was a FNP, family nurse. Well, she was a registered nurse. Then she was a family nurse practitioner, and then to steer us in where we are today, she's now
so after finishing NP, family nurse practitioner, now I went back and got a postgraduate certification for psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner.
So now you're psych. Now she's a PM. Because I had to Google it. I told her I had to Google it. Because I was like, psych and P. But then I'm like, I'm sure there's an actual terminology. And then I Googled it and it was PMHNP. And I wrote it down in my notes. And then I was like, but wait, what does that mean? Psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner.
Yes.
So that's what you are now. So what made you pivot from being a family nurse practitioner to being a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner?
And since we're talking honestly speaking, I have probably like top three reasons really, but the first one, in family practice, when you are in family practice, you do have a lot of chronic conditions that you manage, right? A lot of clients that have chronic conditions, i.e. like your hypertension, your diabetes. Some of them also have underlying mental health issues, where you're talking about the simple ones, not that they're simple, but the anxiety, the depression, but then some of them also have the schizophrenia, the bipolars, and those are more like difficult mental health I wouldn't say difficult, but they're more, I don't want to say difficult. They're more, it requires more management, like,
there you go.
like more integrative kind of management of their condition. So if someone comes as like family practice and have diabetes, I'm treating that. But if their underlying mental health is not being taken care of, then they're not going to take care of their chronic conditions.
Like if I'm depressed, I'm not even taking a shower, so I'm not thinking of taking my medication. So you're right. You're right.
So I saw a lot of that.
So it's not necessarily people are non-compliant. Well, in those cases, it's not like they're non-compliant. It's like I'm fighting for my life here. I'm not thinking about taking my blood pressure medicine. As you know, as wild as that sounds, but that's
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. And so that's one of the big things that I was intrigued by, and I had been saying I went to Sierra Leone in 2016 to work. And I went into the provinces. I never lived there, so I went into the provinces to work in one of the government hospitals.
The provinces, like the outskirts, like the remote.
Yeah, areas of Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
I was in Kabalat, which is like northern, is it north? North
yes.
Sierra Leone. So I was there working, and I met another provider that had like a mental health background. Even in Sierra Leone, like that's not even talked about that much. I saw that firsthand, like in that hospital. So I had been talking to this doctor.
And that's another thing, the cultural stigma around mental health. There we go. Listen.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Lots.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's so many segments of it. You know, there's so many. There's the racial part. There's the cultural part. You know, because you have black people. First of all, black people have a general mistrust for healthcare in general. So imagine you go to a healthcare provider and they're like, "Well, you're depressed. You might need to." I'm like, no. You better pray about it. Yes. Which we do. We will pray about it. God first.
Yes.
But also, God gave wisdom to people to make medications if that's the route you want to go, and that's another. We have so many segments.
Yeah.
That's another segment.
And like she says, that's like you said. Yeah. I'm a nurse. I'm a psych mental health provider now, right? But like, my culture plays a part of it, and I don't want to negate from that. Yes, my culture is not open to it, but my culture is also a part of my culture is also like my religion, right? So my religion is a big part for me too. So I don't take that away from my mental health as well. So I always try to like. And I tell this to my clients as well, like
you incorporate
the two,
incorporate it
because
exactly.
they support each other.
Exactly.
It's not pharmacologic only.
Mm-hmm.
I see in therapy, yes, that works as well. And then I'm not gonna go anywhere without my God. So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
it can be spiritual.
Yeah.
Lifestyle changes.
Whatever you find spiritual to you,
Yeah.
I always say you can incorporate that in making the best mental health decisions for you.
What has been most surprising to you since starting work as a mental health nurse practitioner?
So like I went in knowing that it's gonna be it's a lot mentally, like even for the providers, right? But then I don't want people to think that just because you're a mental health provider, you don't have your own like everyone has their own mental health issues that they're dealing with. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So like going into that, like I knew that was going to be a lot. When I went into it and started working full time, I was amazed at how much it is a lot. Like it took a toll on me. Mm-hmm. And I think I've had a conversation with you about it before. Like I knew it was I knew it was going to be a lot, but starting to work full time in that environment. And what I do, let me just segue back. What I do currently, it's like when I graduated when I graduated with my postgraduate degree, I was working still as a family nurse practitioner and looking for a job, right? And it took me like literally probably 5-6 months before I found a job, and that was the thing I used to call him.
Because I was like, are you being picky or? But then now I respect that because you held out for what you want.
I held out for what God was holding for me. And that's what I feel like God holds these jobs for me. Same thing when I graduated NP school. Mm-hmm. I didn't find a job for a year because God was holding the job that I had for me. Okay, and like just retrospectively.
That's what I'll start saying too. God's
Yeah,
holding it for me.
He was like whatever that one was for me. So it took me like five months to find a psychiatric mental health job. This job that I have, Hannah, truly is God. Like I applied on Indeed. It was just like, okay, one of those like Indeed, you just applying. And then I started talking to the lady. And what was so beautiful about it is I have the chance now to use both my FNP and my psych nurse practitioner degree. So I do both. So like I said, like this opportunity just came to me because God sent it to me, and I get the opportunity to practice as a family nurse practitioner and as a psych mental health provider. So going back to what I mentioned earlier to you about like if someone is like depressed, if someone is schizophrenic, if someone has bipolar, then they're not managing their chronic conditions, and then 9 times out of 10, Hannah, they end up in the emergency room so much, and emergency rooms get so inundated with these chronic conditions that someone that suffers from mental health has, but they're not taken care of. So what I do is it's an integrative health, and I work the place I work for. So in the mornings I see them for all their diabetes, their thyroids, their anemias, their blood pressure, their hypertensions, their post-cardiac arrest. I see all of that I take care of, just family practice things. Acute conditions, your cold, your congestion, your allergies, so I take care of all of that in the morning. But all those clients that I see have an underlying mental health condition.
That's
isn't it God?
I love that. I love the idea. I love the concept.
And I always
addressing both with the same practitioner. I love that.
So that's what I do. Like I see. Well, the ones that I see, because it's a big population, right? So a lot of the patients that I see that for the chronic conditions, they're not all my patients, but some of them are my patients that I see for mental health, right? But they see other providers for mental health that they refer to me. So that's basically what I do. And then in the afternoons, I specifically do with just my clients that are suffering from mental health conditions. So I do the medication management in that sense.
So what has been the biggest surprise for you?
The biggest surprise for me is just how heavy it is. I think the biggest surprise for me is it's a lot, and I feel like people don't talk about it enough. That's my surprise, and my other.
It's hidden.
It's hidden.
There you go.
It's like taboo.
That's what it is.
Especially
It's hidden.
like
The amount of people you see who actually deal with it versus the amount of people who talk about it. Because I was talking to somebody, and he was kind of like, he said, "Man, people feel like they're the only ones going through stuff. We're all going through stuff. But how would people know we're all going through stuff if we don't share that we're going through stuff? You know, because then you're going to feel like I'm the only one going through it. Like, remember what I told you when I went through postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum insomnia, postpartum, this is postpartum segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm smiling about it. At the time, I was not smiling. And I'm going to talk about that in the follow-up after this episode. I'm going to do a one-on-one. But pretty much, it hit me heavy. And I was like, you know how you're like, it's like an earthquake. And you're like, whoa, what's going on? And you don't realize that other people have dealt with it. There are people in my family who have dealt with it, I didn't even know, and I had no idea, and I started talking about mine, and I literally, I love my mom, mommy, I love you, but even my mom was kind of like, oh, let's just keep this, because she didn't know what this was either at the time, so it was kind of like, let's just keep this with family, you know, like whatever I was going through, let's just keep it in the family, which is fine because some people keep their things private, but also for me, I was like, oh no, I need to talk. I need to figure out what this is. You get what I'm saying? And then once I started talking, other people started opening up and were like, oh, I've dealt with it. That was such, girl, it was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Because it made you think you are crazy. Like I literally thought I was crazy, and I'm like, oh God. But yeah, back to what you were saying. So like people don't talk about it. So many people in society deal with it, and it's like, it's okay, it's something we deal with, it's part of life, If you can get high blood pressure, you can get anxiety. If you can get high blood pressure, you can get depression.
Yes.
There are no selectives. Like, you get depression, you wouldn't. I'm like, literally, I would tell myself that I'm the happiest person I know. You know what I mean? And I went through that, so that was a shocker.
And just like what you said, Hannah, like, and I just just want to echo that one more time, like what you said. You have high blood pressure, you take a medicine, right? You have hypothyroidism, you take a medicine, right? You have diabetes, you take your metformin, you take your insulin. If you're anxious, you can take your medicine. You may not need the medicine, which is fine, but you can do therapy. Like, those are all management of your condition that
just
you have.
like high blood pressure, you could go walking.
Preventative care measures.
Yeah, sometimes your doctor would say,
I'm about to flip
I was going to say, I'm drinking.
We don't want to drop on wine.
But yeah, there are people who get diagnosed with high blood pressure and they tell them you don't have to
start medicine.
Yeah, you can walk, do exercise, change your diet.
You give them 3 months, like high cholesterol too. You give them a minimum, I'm not saying that's what everyone does.
Look at her putting on her nurse
3
practitioner.
months. You just do diet, exercise, and sometimes you can resolve that stuff and you don't need medicine. Same thing if you have anxiety or depression. You could try some therapy and talk to people. If you didn't want to go to talk to like an actual therapist, if you have someone that you trust that you can talk to, a release.
Yeah.
And
you can go online. They have online apps where you can do therapy. I mean, it's virtual.
That's the beauty now. That's the beauty that COVID
stuff.
Brought out for us. That's one of the positives I say. This telehealth, that's a positive that came out of, if we're looking for positives, that came out of COVID.
True. And then, so what has been, what's your personal, have you dealt with, or what has been your personal journey as far as mental health goes?
Yeah, so like I have, my personal journey is specifically, and probably going through the psych mental health nurse practitioner, my postgraduate certification is when I really sat down and kind of assessed myself, because sometimes you're learning these things, you're not supposed to apply them to yourself, but you kind of reassess.
Self-diagnose.
So you're kind of reassessing and like really looking through your life and assessing yourself, looking deep within yourself. I had a class, I had one of my instructors, she's great, this African-American lady, she practiced like in Chicago somewhere, but she was awesome and like talking about how you feel and stuff, because she was my, when you do clinicals, what they call those ones. It's not like she's teaching. You're just like dude.
Not your.
It's not the core.
Not a mentor.
It's like she was the instructor of the class, but those classes are mostly when you do your clinical rotations, and then you guys just meet as a group and talk about your experiences, what you learned. Got you. So that's why. But like she was a wealth of information for me. I have like a couple of tools that I still use up to this day, but when we started, like when the class starts, you talk about how you're feeling, we just go around and how the experience that you've had, like, so that makes me like assess myself. Yeah. I've always thought, Hannah, up to this day, I told my mom, I told my dad, I told my husband, I told my sister, everyone thought that Emileku is like a go-getter, right? Yeah. I am a go-getter, but I think like the basis of my go-getterness is based off of anxiety. I want to get something. If something needs to be done, I'm so anxious, like it needs to be done. Like I get very worried. How is it going to turn out? What's going to happen? So you think that I think that I want to make something happen. I will call, this bill needs to be paid.
But it's stemming from you.
It's stemming because I want it. I'm worried. If I don't do that, it makes me very worried.
But to them, it sounds inspirational. Because they're like, oh, she's such a go-getter.
Yes.
You're just like, y'all need to do it.
And I didn't know this, Hannah. I never knew. I believed everyone like I'm a go-getter. Yeah. Yes, I am. I am a go-getter. Like I'm what's the word? I take the initiative. I want to achieve as much as I can, as God willingly will let me achieve. Yeah. But like, I feel like some of the things that I go after is based off of like worried, like it's a basis of it for me. So to answer your question, I suffer from anxiety, right? So
you're self-diagnosed. You do. I'm not trying to discredit you.
I did the questionnaire, gag 7.
She checked 1, 2, 3. Sorry.
I did the questionnaire.
We're not laughing. We're not making fun of the situation.
Yeah, we're not.
But she did some. But no, I get what you're saying. Wait. Oh, hold on. Where's her phone case? And you have this cute phone case. Do you have it? Oh, I don't know if you can see it. No, we'll take a screenshot of it. But she has affirmations. Does this thing come off? No, I don't want to take it off. But she has affirmations for anxiety on there. It's really nice. It says, I am a beautiful person. I will smile, breathe, and go slowly. I feel grounded in this moment. It's literally helping me right now. I've got my back. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what type of phone I have, just in case you want to give me a gift. My birthday is coming up,
right?
But yeah, that's really nice.
I like it. It spoke to me.
So what do you? Well, this you do. This is good. What else do you do that helps?
I talk to my friends and I talk to my God. And I think that's why I don't feel like my anxiety is worse to the level that I need to be on medication yet. I thought I was going to need medicine when I started this job because I used to bring so much of my clients' stuff with me and I carried it with me and it made me anxious, like prescribing for kids. You know, like the stimulants and stuff.
Remember when you said you woke up one night? What was that? Wait, there's a story behind that. What happened? You said.
So I had a client that I prescribed stimulants for. This is when I've done stimulants, but like this is a kid that's like a day older than my boys, right? So,
and the boys are 6?
6.
Yeah.
So
she has twin boys.
Has twin boys, yes. So I prescribed medicine for him. I dosed it accordingly. I used the weight and the dosing calculation. I must have calculated like 3 times while I was at work.
Which is safe.
Yes. So
it goes from safe to just about to hop over.
I did. So I prescribed his med. I came home. I was thinking about him. I was sleeping and I like woke up out of my sleep like, oh my gosh, did I do it right? And I took my computer off. Yes. I went in the computer, checked it, I pulled out my phone and did the recalculation again. That's when I was like, okay, this is a lot, okay? I was like, maybe I need to start taking medicine. So then I started talking to one of my other friends, Amy. She's also a nurse practitioner. We went through.
Hey Amy, what's up? I don't know if Amy wants us to. Kidding. Hey Amy.
So I will call her because she is like a year ahead of me she's been a PMHIP for like 2-3 years now. So I'll call her and talk to her, and I talked to my mom, and I prayed. And not to say like I don't care about my patients. I care about my patients. And I think that was the problem where I was bringing them home with me. But I had to pray to God to help me separate myself when I take care of my clients at home. When I come home, that I don't bring them home with me. And I'm slowly seeing like progress in that. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night recalculating doses anymore.
Well, that was a safety. We're gonna do that. We're gonna say that was safety.
But that is what I suffer from. I have undiagnosed or self-diagnosed rather anxiety. I talk to my husband. I talk to my mom, just to process.
And your husband is so zen.
He's too zen. He's very zen.
He's so zen. He's the perfect person to talk to.
I know.
Yeah.
He's very, very zen.
Shout out. Mr. Bun-Mansaray. So, as speaking of husbands and twin boys, and she has, middle schooler. So what do you do, like with kids? That's the other thing, right? Middle school. What do you do to help your kids? Maybe the boys not so much because they're in elementary school, but hitting that middle school. What do you do to help guide your children or your family or your home environment just to make it mentally, healthy minds with the family? What are some things you do?
I talk a lot nowadays. I mean, I used to talk a lot. I still talk a lot to my kids. And I talk to Sierra, my daughter. She's 11. She's in 6th grade. So I've been anticipating this middle school piece because as I mentioned to you earlier, my girlfriend Deja, she's a principal right now in her school, but she's taught like.
Deja, come on, we need to talk to you.
So
We'll need your perspective, because
Yes.
that's a good perspective to have, the other side.
Yeah, so I always knew that middle school was a tough time. Even for me, I came to the United States in middle school, right? But the thing that the saving grace for me when I came to the United States in middle school, I think, was the school I went to was heavily populated with African people. So it gave me a little blanket.
Camaraderie,
Yes.
people like you, so
Yes.
you weren't called
African booty scratcher.
Man, that was a thing.
Tracing back to my point I was trying to make, like middle school is a lot. So I've always tried to like talk to Sierra, and I don't have all the answers. I don't know the answers. That's, again,
We're all learning as we go, right?
I circle it back to my God. I pray a lot. I pray for all her teachers. I pray for all her friends. God is he knows, that's my home.
Yeah.
So he knows all her teachers. He knows all her friends. I say it down to their names.
Yeah.
Like I pray for them.
Wow.
To keep her, and my boys too. Like I pray for all of their teachers and all of their friends. Like I pray a lot.
I love. I'm not trying to say you are not spiritual or have a relationship with God, but I'm loving this Shodetta. You did say it was your 2023 goal to have a closer relationship with God. You did say that.
I've always been religious, but like it's just
intentionally now.
I like that.
It. Yeah.
I'm intentional. I'm more intentional. So I pray a lot. I try to open the communication with Sierra. And then sometimes I yell at her and I scream at her and I have to catch back myself and I go to her and I say, I'm so sorry, Sierra, that I screamed at you and I yelled at you.
Repair.
That's not the behavior I want you to think is okay.
That's repairing.
And I think I think when I did it the first couple of times, she was like, what is this? But now she's like,
is it a setup?
Yeah. And now she's like, okay, Mom, but when you were that upset, I didn't know if you wanted me to still express myself. And I was like, no, Sierra, I still want you to express yourself. But I want you to also be respectful in the manner that you express yourself to me.
True.
Because I want you to know that, like, even though I want you to express yourself to me, you still have to be respectful in how you express yourself. And even though you think you're smart, I'm also smart. Like, you can't, like, one-up on me.
Even though you think you're smart, I'm also smart.
Yeah, the teacher, the students,
that's an African mother.
Yes.
Even though you think I'm smart, I'm also smart.
I'm ahead of you. I'm ahead of you.
What do you think?
The teacher was once a student. Yes.
Even though you think you're smart, I'm also smart.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I want you to be all expressive and say how you feel. But even though you think I'm smart, I'm smarter than you.
Even though you think you're smart, I'm smart too.
My God.
Okay? So we have to express ourselves respectfully.
So what are your thoughts on mental health? What are your thoughts on psychiatric medications? Is that what it'll be called? Psych meds? I guess psych meds, right?
Yeah,
Meds on medications. What are your thoughts on medications?
Well, it depends. There are different things, right? There's like an umbrella term that we use to like adjustment disorder, anxiety adjustment disorder, depression. If you don't want to give these diagnoses, sometimes, and I am a nurse practitioner, yes, but sometimes I feel like some of us still throw these diagnoses too quickly on some of these kids too, right? I'm all for medicines, yes, but I'm also like anger management class, family therapy. Have we tried that? That's another thing I'm learning.
So do you believe in trying like non-pharma because also there are situations when medication is a must, because there are psychosis. Some like I'm thinking if you have schizophrenia you would definitely need medication. Yes. Is that right?
If you have schizophrenia you need
medicine. So there are certain diagnoses where you definitely need medication.
Right.
And then there's some that could be managed with lifestyle or therapy or psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And then so you, without taking the words out of your mouth, what I'm hearing is you, in those situations where it could be an option to do non-pharmacological, you recommend or you recommend doing that, and then if it doesn't work, then transitioning to medication if needed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I do feel that way, exactly as you stated. Like, if it's just an adjustment type thing, first episode of like anxiety, depressions, those can be managed with therapy. Now, depending on the level of your depressive symptoms, if you're kind of adding like, the suicidal ideation, the homicidal ideation, if you're adding like the psychosis, then of course, we need that medication management to kind of piggyback off of the the therapy.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
sometimes
yields,
it could be a chemical imbalance, because for some people it could
and
be
that's
the
what
chemical
yields
imbalance.
the best. The combination of the two is what yields the best.
Yeah.
But I always say, if it's something just the beginner one, or your first episode of like the anxieties and depression, try your therapy first and see. And if you need medicine, of course, the medicine is there for us too.
Yeah. So I'm hearing also seeking help, regardless of which route you go. That's the main thing. Like if you're going through something, because there are people who've dealt with mental health issues for a long time, and they kind of have an idea of what works, what doesn't work, or when things need to be changed. Then there are people who have never had mental health issues, and then it's like something just comes swinging out and knocks you off. I feel like in those cases, people can become really scared, to the point where, I don't know, maybe you think suicidal thoughts. Like for me, it got scary enough to that point, because then I started feeling like, whoa, how long am I going to have to deal with this? Or am I going to be that's the other thing, you think you're a burden. So, or you think you'll be a burden, because it's new for your family, it's new for everybody else, so it's new for you. And then you don't see an end. There are people who deal with it for life. It's part of their life. It's just something they manage. Then there are people who have waves, they just ride the waves. And then there are people who have episodes, and like they might not deal with it for the rest of their life, or they'll have times when they're not dealing with,
like, situations happen that
exactly,
back into like into more depressive. Say like you were diagnosed depression, you were managed typically like 6 months or a year, whatever, and then you were able, with therapy, you were able to come through that period of time, i.e. like say like a postpartum thing, right? You came through it and you're fine, and then you didn't need the medicine anymore. You were doing therapy twice a week. You've narrowed it down to once a week now. You're doing better, and then let's say 3 years down the line, God forbid, something happens, some sort of drastic thing that happens that kind of throws you off, and you go back to that depressive thing. It can happen. And certainly when that happens, you want to feel like, oh, I remember. Well, hopefully you're like, I know this path that
I've been there
down.
before. So this time I know, because that happens.
You.
Yeah. So it's like you hang in there, and then now you're like, because there's this postpartum group I was in, and there were some moms who were, this was their first time dealing with postpartum issues, and they call it postpartum symptoms, because it's cumulative. It could be, just like I was saying, depression, anxiety, insomnia, psychosis, even in some people. So there were moms who had dealt with it before. There were moms who were dealing with it the first time, and they were like, that's it, I am never having a child again. This child's going to be the only one. And then there were moms who were like, I felt this way until I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, because there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And now, in hindsight, now I'm having a second one. But they're like, and I'm going through it now, but now I have the tools. That's the other thing. This is how you know somebody's been to therapy or is dealing with mental health issues. These are some tools in my toolbox. Yeah. So yeah, that's the one word.
Shout out to the therapist.
When people say they got a tool in their toolbox, they're working on that. Yeah, oh my gosh, I love my therapist.
Shout out to the therapist, man.
I love my therapist.
I'm
gonna send her an email to thank her. Because I've kind of graduated myself out of the therapy sessions. Because she was like, do you still want to do twice a week? And I was kind of like, yes. Do you still want to do twice a week? Yes. And she's kind of like, you still want to do twice a week? That's her telling me, I'll take your money, but like, you can go down once a week. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so those are some of the terms. So she was like, and so one of the moms was like, well, now I have the tools needed. So she knew, she did medication. So she knew right away when she had the baby, she went on medication. Some of them there were even meds you could take. I didn't even know you could take antidepressants while pregnant. Yeah, so there were some who were taking antidepressants while pregnant. And so pretty much. So we say all this to say this. It's so wide. It's such a wide range of and the stigma is not worth it, because it can get dark
That's the
real
whole
quick
episode.
for some people, and you could, because you're not thinking straight. Well, in times when people have like these extreme cases or whatever, or even people who are not extreme, if they've just, it's been chronic, because dealing with something chronic is also traumatizing, you know, because you're just dealing with it, you know. So yeah, it can get dark for people real quick. So it's okay to talk about it. I want people to talk about it, because then people don't feel so alone in our journey. Because this journey called life, we're not alone. We deal with so much, you know, divorces, breakups, losses,
new jobs,
birth,
loss of
even
work,
joyful
loss of
moments can be can cause
stress.
yeah
Joyful
for
moments,
real.
like
Yeah.
having a new child, can be a lot more.
Getting married, moving, like
getting married and planning, like the finances. That can
even things that are like, you
that's
know,
supposed to be joyous.
Yeah, because when I went through postpartum, I remember my aunt told me, she was like, "You have all these blessings. What are you sad about?" You know, and I'm just like, that didn't help, because I'm just like, oh yeah, what am I sad about? I have all these blessings.
Yeah.
I can't control it, but I did have all these blessings, but then I was dealing with what I was dealing with.
Which is why I'm so happy and so proud that you decided to do this, because I really truly feel like, and speaking as a Sierra Leonean, and I can say like as an American as well, because I've been in the United States so long, you know, Sierra Leonean specifically, it's such a taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it, and people just sit in silence and deal with this stuff by themselves, and don't talk to anyone about it. And those, when you leave your hypertension untreated, it can cause stroke, right? When you leave your depression untreated, when you leave your anxiety, when you leave your depression untreated, can lead to the homicidal thoughts. When you leave your anxiety untreated, can lead to panic attacks and stuff like that. So like, I just hope, and you know, we can be more open to talk about these things, and so that somebody can say, oh, I remember Hannah went through that. Oh, I remember Shodetta talking about her anxiety. So, you know.
Or you look back and you're like, ooh, I got through it. You know, so even, no matter how dark it gets, you know, just hang in there. That's the other thing. Like, no matter how dark things get and life gets, just remember someone else has been there. You can send me a message. What do the kids say? Subscribe to the link below. All the kids want to do YouTube. They want to have Mommy, can I have a YouTube channel? Can I have a YouTube channel? You're doing a video for your own archives. They're gonna pop in and be like, click and subscribe to the link below. But on a more serious note, though, really, things can get dark. This is life. This is the journey. You'll hear me say this all the time. The purpose of just having these conversations with other women, like the podcast name is The Everyday Woman, is for us to have conversations and know that, you know, other people have been there. If it reaches one person that realizes that, yo, I'm not alone, because we're not alone, we're a village. This creates an opportunity. It creates an opportunity for the internet. Creates an opportunity for people to have your village could reach as far as Asia. Your village could reach as far as South America. You know, the whole world is a village. It's a global village. We're supposed to look out for each other, in the most positive, supportive way we can. Let other people know we've been there.
Yes.
You know, we're all walking this journey together.
And you live and you learn. If you didn't get it right the first time, you know, try again.
There's more opportunities. So whatever it is, hang in there. It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. It always gets better. It's not over until it's over. And you can't make it over. That's not our jobs, you know? So
I had a saying that was circled around that. Like, if it's not, I don't remember it word for word, but it's like something like, if it's not over, try again. Something about like the circle of like, it's not the end.
Yeah. You're here for a reason. You're still here. So keep trekking on. Keep carrying on. So, fun segment. We're gonna do a little thingy. Just a question. Just a fun light thingy. So, trivia. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I don't think anybody's ever. I haven't sat down.
Any superpower.
Any power.
And why?
Okay. If I could have any superpower would be that the ability to learn something at like a super nano pace.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And the reason why is because I would want to do, like, I would want to learn about different things as much as I can, and monetize it for me so that I can make some income for me and my family.
Oh, that's true. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Next question. If you could invite 3 people over for dinner or lunch, living or dead, who would they be?
My grandmother.
Aww.
She raised me, Beatrice. She'll be 1. 2 would be, you said dead or alive, right?
Yes.
My mom. I would invite my mom over. She's pretty cool. She's like a blonde, cool.
And she's fancy too. She can rock the short dude. You look just like her with the short dude.
I know, that's what everyone says. So it'll be my grandmother, my mom, and then probably, let's see, who do I admire? It's
Are you trying to do a non-family
Yeah.
guest? Oh, okay.
because I know I like those. I mean, I don't really look up to like a lot of like famous people like that.
Yeah.
It would be there's an African American guy, something Franklin. He's very, very successful, and he does a lot of philanthropic stuff for like black universities. I think it's something Franklin. I would want to talk to him.
Where is he? Here in Georgia?
I'm not sure where he is, but like I think he has something Franklin. I don't know his name, but I want someone that has that's really successful, but has like a religious background.
Does he have a religious background?
I think he mentions it here and there, but I don't remember him. I mean, that's the
I
one.
think I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember his name. If I think of his name, I'll put it in the caption. I don't think.
I follow him on Instagram.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Okay, and then send me the information so I can put his name at the bottom. Pop it up.
Yeah.
And last question. What advice would you give to women?
You know, you have to really, really, really work, and I'm still working on this, like loving yourself and like figuring things out that you love about yourself and holding on to those, because sometimes, like, and I'm thinking like as a younger me, like how I used to be, like, you know, I wish I like really, really loved myself then, but you like the thing that I loved myself, but the level that it needed to be, I don't think it was there. Like I was overweight, so I was like, it's not. Just try to love yourself, and then try to stay close to God. If you're religious, whatever form of spirituality you have, that can really help to carry you along.
Are you trying to be diplomatically correct?
I know I am.
Stay close to God.
Stay close to God. I was trying to
From personal experience. Stay close to God.
Stay close to God.
You know.
Yes.
We're trying to give.
That's what I have in my toolbox.
Listen, yeah. So it's okay, because you know sometimes I try to be diplomatic correct, because then people be like, "Oh my gosh, why would you tell me to stay close to God?"
Yeah.
Stay close to God.
That's what I have. I have him in my.
It's guaranteed.
Toolbox.
I know it's guaranteed. So stay close to God helps you.
And then surround yourself with good people. And sometimes it takes a while to find those good people. And a lot of people see me and like, I don't really, when you first meet me, you think like I'm such a quiet person. I don't really talk, because I like to see first and observe people and see how they are. And God has blessed me with some really awesome people. You
know what? You do have a solid team. I'll give that to you. Like your friends, I appreciate. No, it's
You're
true.
my friend.
Yeah, I know, but
I found her. I have to tell you
a story on that. That's a whole other segment. She's my prized possession. She was like, I'm not letting go of her. Everything else can go, but not her.
Not my
But wait, you do. I am your friend, but honestly, I'll give that to you. Because with me, it took me a while to figure out how, and we just talked about this, right? And we're going to have a segment on friendship. We just talked about this. For me, it took me a while to figure out how to have a solid, even if it's one or two or three, well, one or two. It took me a while to figure out how to have healthy friendships. I held on to friendships based on longevity, regardless of how toxic it was. So that advice is really, really, really good and really essential. And I'll say that with your friends, I see that you have, like, you, and because I'm so, like, outgoing is what I say, I normally just dive in first, then I learn to swim later, and then I'll be drowning like, oh hell, what? You know, and it took me age. It took me age and time and maturity and just to realize to slow down and do like you said, scan the room, not just the room of life, before letting people in like that, and it's, you have better quality shoot. Still, just like if you leave doors cracked, some people might still, snakes might still come in. You might have to get them out. But in general, just be more aware of the people you surround yourself with.
And God has blessed me with, like you said, some good people around me, and I keep them. I keep them. Like when I don't call people my friends a lot. Like I'll say, and I'm notorious to say, oh, I know who she is.
I know her.
But like I don't call everyone my friend. So for me to call you my friend, like I have to have been around you. So, you know, pray to God that you surround yourself with some good people, because they can tell you, you know, and they can tell you when you need to, when you're not doing the right thing, when you need to do something else, or like, and the thing of it is, when you say like I have good friends, I have good friends that, and each friend lends something different for me, which is another thing. I guess that can go with your friendship thing that you're going to talk about too. I have like different
you call for different things, right? That's true. You have friends who, like, if you're going through, but and it happened to me, it's well, kind of with me too now. You have friends who if it's like, for example, we're friends anyway regardless. I feel like we kind of spread out into most things because we have the kids, we have our professional stuff, we go out together, you know what I mean? So it kind of merges. But then in general, you have friends who you call if you're going through like an illness or something, or you have friends who you call if you want to travel, and it's not like you just need them for that, but it's kind of that's their strength.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, it is. You have the ultra religious ones. You have the religious ones, but like if I want to go out and woohoo, you know, I have those too. But not to say they don't yield, because they yield just as great service to me as my ultra religious one, because I need to go de-stress and dance. And I do talk to that friend about whatever else I'm going through, but it's just that we're going to dance first and take 1 or 2 shots. And my friend B is not going to take 2 shots with me. She's probably just going to pray.
She's going to be like, girl, we need to fast. But I have a friend like that too. She'll be like, I fasted for you. Like, can you imagine somebody fasts for you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's love. Yeah.
But,
well, thank you for coming, Remileko.
Thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you again.
Woman podcast.
Yes. I keep sure she's going to
Oh, you're coming back.
Put it on the disclaimer.
No, your eyes are turning red. Yeah. You need eye drops.
I have it. I travel with it.
Okay.
Every spring.
Let's go get you some eye drops.
Bye.